The city of New Orleans is fixing their rental assistance program by providing bulk direct payments to landlords. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News.
Availability for funding. The city is urging landlords against filing evictions, with Governor John Bel Edwards' eviction moratorium set to expire today.
All right, so I have some good news out of the city of New Orleans, and it sounds like they are finally going to fix their rental assistance program by getting money directly to landlords as quickly as possible without all the ridiculous paperwork and all the bureaucracy that has been holding it up in every other locality, okay? So I have an article here that's going over exactly what they're going to be doing to change their rental assistance program and actually maybe help some tenants keep them from getting evicted and make sure that landlords don't completely go bankrupt sitting around waiting while they get all of it figured out. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of this program. If you think this should be implemented throughout the entire country instead of just in New Orleans. I think it's a good idea, at least a good first step, okay? This is the way that the program should have been implemented in the first place, and it's unfortunate that they put all these different stipulations and rules on getting the money, and it made it so landlords had to sit around and jump through 1,000 hoops and then wait for months on end, and a lot of them still haven't received a single penny yet. So let's see what this article says. This article comes from WDSU.com, and it says, City of New Orleans to make direct bulk payments to landlords to avoid evictions. The City of New Orleans has announced that it will begin providing direct payments to utility providers and rapid relief to landlords in an effort to stop tenants from being displaced due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to a news release on August 25th, the U.S. Department of Treasury issued new guidance that allows grantees such as the City of New Orleans to provide direct and bulk payments to landlords and to establish procedures that will combine assistance to households in jeopardy of displacement. The single payments made directly to utility providers and landlords are reportedly based on reasonable certified estimates of debts, which must be confirmed by the grantee within 6 months of payment issuance. Now, that is good, okay? So a landlord will be able to make a reasonable certification that, hey, this tenant owes me X amount of money, okay? Then they just apply and they're able to get that amount back. And then they have to come up with the actual certifications and all that later off into the future. So there is a much faster path for the landlord to get their money using this criteria versus the previous criteria, which, if I haven't already explained it enough, but what happened was the tenant had to put in an application saying that, okay, I meet all of these certain criteria. Then all of that information had to be verified by the local governments, right? And then the landlord had to, sign off on it. And then after you jump through all those different hoops, they finally, hopefully, would be able to pay out the money to the landlord that the landlord is owed. But the problem with that was verifying the tenant's income, verifying all the information, and verifying that the tenant actually qualified for the rental assistance was taking a very long time, okay? And rather than just getting the money straight to the landlord had to sit there and wait for 3, 4, 5 months or longer while they were trying to verify this information. So now the landlord will get paid and then they verify the information. So the landlord at least would get, some sort of compensation. The tenant would be able to stay in the place. Landlord won't have a reason to file for eviction if they're in the process and they've already been paid. So this should enable landlords to stay in business and some tenants not to be evicted. So yeah, I hope that more municipalities start joining in on this process because it actually sounds like it's a really good idea. The guidance recommends decreasing the estimate by a certain percentage to eliminate the risk of overpayment. Our residents have suffered greatly throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are now able to extend assistance leveraged from our federal partners at the U.S. Department of Treasury to provide some relief directly to landlords to avoid the continuation of debt accumulation and housing displacement, Mayor LaToya Cantrell said. We greatly appreciate the amount of flexibility given to grantees, such as the city, that will allow us to help those small landlords who are not in a position to shoulder lost rental income, in addition to giving residents much needed assistance with making past due utility payments. Yeah, and it's nice to see that the mayor of a city actually pointed out the fact that there are small landlords who can't survive without these payments. Okay, so it is nice for once to see a politician speak out about the landlords, and it's just not very common. Most of the time, they spend a lot of time talking about tenants, etc. But this whole rental reimbursement and rental assistance is all about making sure the landlords get paid, because they put the eviction moratorium in place. They are the ones who told the tenants they didn't have to pay, and they're the ones who also stuck the landlords with the bill. So they need to get our backs. They would need to make sure that we get paid back. Funding disbursements are reportedly being divided into pools to ensure small landlords can participate in the program and are afforded the chance to submit payment requests. 40% of the allocated dollars will go to landlords with 8 or fewer housing units. 60% of the funding will be allocated for landlords with more than 8 housing units. These payments are earmarked from a portion of the $9.6 million recently received from the Treasury, in addition to the balance of funds the city expects to receive from the state. So yeah, it seems like they want to make sure that the small landlords do have access to these funds, because what their fear is that the larger landlords will come in there and they'll make the most requests, they'll take most of the money, and then leave these small landlords hanging out to dry. So they want to make sure that it's evenly distributed between small and large landlords. So yeah, I mean I don't have no problem with that right now, especially since a lot of the smaller landlords, they are the ones who are suffering the most through this. But my goal still is to make sure that all landlords get reimbursed 100%. So considering they have a limited amount of funds, though, I do agree with this for now. But hopefully going into the future, they do make sure that both small and large landlords are fully reimbursed. To date, the state has reportedly transferred $5.6 million of the $14 million set aside for Orleans Parish. So that's $14 million plus the $9.6 million additional. With the new guidance and availability for funding, the city is urging landlords against filing evictions, as Governor John Bel Edwards' eviction moratorium is set to expire today, September 24th. For more information or for the revised landlord application, visit ready.nola.gov or the City of New Orleans Office of Housing Policy and Community Development at 1340 Poydras Street, 10th floor. So yeah, it seems like the City of New Orleans also had its own local eviction moratorium that was, went beyond what the federal eviction moratorium. So when the federal eviction moratorium ended, New Orleans still had an eviction moratorium in place. It looks like it's expired as of today. Today I'm recording this on the 24th. So that's good news that the local moratorium has come to an end, and that they're pushing this new program of rental assistance to the landlords. Now, the article doesn't mention anything about them wanting to extend their local eviction moratorium, so hopefully they allow it to expire and they don't put any new ones into place, because any more eviction moratoriums, local, state, federal, they are not necessary and they're probably illegal. Okay, and landlords have suffered enough, so they should just keep 100% of their focus on making sure that this rental assistance gets to the landlords that are in need. So yeah, I like this program. I hope they implement something very similar to it, throughout the country. It'd be great if, I looked up and they were just like, hey, we're gonna make sure that the landlords who, they've been shorted their rent, they are getting paid back what they are owed by the federal government or by the local governments, okay?